Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today. A very warm welcome to all of our young alumni, to our UWC staff that have joined us, and a very warm welcome from us to our guest speakers, Ms. Nazrana Parker and Dean Mazawitsa. So today is going to be a session that is solely going to be based on career guidance and everything related to career guidance and navigating your career within the 21st century. We're looking at different aspects on how to, perform correct like job searches and, the quotients and career planning and knowing yourself when you are applying for a job. By way of introduction, my name is Najma Desai, and I am the alumni coordinator for the alumni office at UWC. I just want to go through a few housekeeping rules before we get started. Please note that the session will be recorded and it is also being broadcast live on Facebook. If you do have any issues with your personal details being displayed, please change your name and keep your cameras off. Please keep your mics off at all times unless you have raised your hand and if you have a question. Also, please note that no disruptions will be tolerated within the session. If you do have any questions, please raise your hand or please pop your question into the chat box and we will try to get to it as soon as possible. All right, and without further ado, I introduce to you Dean Mazawitsa. Dean is the director and industrial psychologist and career advisor for Future Pathways, and he is a professional career guidance and support consultant. And today he's here to talk about all of that with you. Dean, over to you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I think I'll just start with my slides already. Our viewers who are watching. Okay, like the host said, my name is Dean and I'm the director of Future Pathways Consultants, and today we'll be talking about career planning and career guidance and what are the ways that you can do to start a successful career. So career planning starts with self-assessment. So you are the one who is in control of your life. You are the one who decides what you want to do with your life. And I'll start with a quote from Alvin Toffler, which says, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those that cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn and relearn." So this is the problem most young people, even older generation, are facing, that they are not willing to unlearn what they've been learning, and they're also willing, they're not willing to relearn and also learn and add to what they know so that they can be better individuals, because career guidance or career development is a lifelong learning process. You never stop learning when you embark in the journey of being a professional or to go into a certain job that you're interested in doing. So Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm." And I say enthusiasm is a God within. So when you are inspired, when you have that feeling that you have a great vision, you've got a great passion, or you've got a great purpose, you'll find that your enthusiasm or the God within you, which is your soul, will bounce into others, and they'll start to see where you're going, and you start to see doors where others cannot see doors. So that's the whole process. It's understanding yourself first before you do anything, because that is the most important thing to achieve whatever that you set your mind to do or entail to do in life. Okay, so, okay. Just a moment. Okay. So this is what is happening currently in our society. We are all geniuses. I'm a genius. Everyone who's watching this is a genius, and everyone that you know is a genius. But the problem is we are swiftly degenerated by the environment that we associate ourselves in. For example, our parents would tell us, no, what you're trying to do, you cannot make it because no one in our family, or your friend will say, no, this is you're too ambitious to achieve this. So all these small little things belittle the bigger self within. And if you understand that the bigger self within, everything that we desire will come true or will be given to us because we start to see what others cannot see. So Albert Einstein once said, logic will take you from A to Z, but imagination will get you everywhere. Meaning that if you start to imagine the things that you see from within or the things that you desire to be, whether in career, because most of the time that's where you're going to spend your time at, or most of your life at, doing a profession, being involved in a certain career, you find that if you're passionate about your job or the things that you're doing in life, most of the time, the enthusiasm, the good within, the passion, the purpose, the drive that comes within will come naturally, and you start to knock doors or to open doors that other people fail to open because of the drive that you have within your side. So an overview of what we're going to do today we'll look at what is the importance of knowing yourself. Career planning starts with you because you are the master of your life and your fate. You decide where you want to be, how you want to go there. We'll look at what is career management, a different type of acquaintance, which is EQ, SQ, and AQ. We'll look at generational differences, looking at baby boomers, millennials, and Generation Z, which is those that were born from 2000 going up. We'll look at career skills needs and future skills needs. What is the current needs that are required currently in our society? What problems are there to solve that people can venture into? How can I use my degree, what I've learned, to solve a problem that the society is facing? And we'll look at 21st employability characteristics. What must I have as a person for me to get that job? What is it the employer that is looking? What are my strengths and weaknesses? What is my personality? What are my Holland codes, etc., etc.? And we'll also look at world problems and problem solvers. What is the current problems the world is facing right now as we speak in this COVID or in this current generation that we are in? Okay, so career planning has got a process, like I've mentioned. It's a lifelong process, and the first step is to discover who you are as a person. What are my interests? What are my skills? What are my values? What are my personality? A lot of people, it's been researched that 98% of people, which is very, very huge percentage, they don't know who they are. They don't know their values. They don't know where they're going. They don't know if they're coming or going. You understand? They're stuck in between. But at the end of the day, for you to make that brave move, to say, this is what I want to study, and after studying this, I have a plan to do A, B, and C. You need to know yourself. You need to know your interests. You need to know your talents, your passion. What is your purpose of living? Why am I here? What am I here to do? And how can I go about it to achieve what I want? Then the step two is, what do I want? Like I just said, what are my options? What do I have in front of me? What can I use to take that first step? Because they always say the first step is always the hardest. Career planning is no job. It's something that requires your effort, your energy, your mind, everything that you can gather to achieve that specific goal that you've set to yourself that you want to achieve. Then the third step would, how do I get there? What am I willing to do? Like I said, you will ruffle a lot of feathers. You will disappoint a lot of people that expected you to do something, but that is not like you. You understand? Sometimes it's a lonely road, but as you walk that road, you start to see other people that think the same way as you. You start to understand how other people are living their lives, but by the time you get to the middle of the road or almost or 5 yards away from that first step, you start to see the world in a different way. Of course, you will face challenges when you embark in career planning, because it's what you see others that can't see, that you're trying them to see what you're trying to create or perceive or bring into the world. Then the fourth step would, what is my plan to get to my goal? A lot of people don't set goals. A lot of people don't write what they intend to do when they start their first year of university. What do I need this degree for? Am I just going to university so that I'll be educated? What am I doing here? So if you tend to ask yourself these questions, you come up with answers that will direct you to where you want to be. There's a say that was said by this old man, said, this young man asked, what can I do with my life, or what can I do with my career? And the old man said, there's a lot of opportunities in the world, and all you have to do is to be a good human being. It got me thinking that sometimes we tend to live the life that is outside ourselves than to live the life that is within ourselves. You understand? That's where the goal planning comes to play. Because when you plan, you know that I'm restricted or I'm restricted. My behavior is controlled by certain goals. My behavior, you tend to see yourself going to the right places if you have goals. You tend to see yourself associating with the right people if you have goals. You tend to have energies that drives you, that is coming from the within, which is intrinsic if you have goals. So it is important for someone who's starting a degree, already finished, to start planning goals and to have this career planning program that is a lifelong process that requires you to constantly learning, relearn and unlearn, like what Alvin Toffler said. So there's no one way of tackling a career planning. There's a lot of ways, but you need to be willing to learn, relearn, and unlearn. So my favorite quote is from Socrates, who said, know thyself. That statement, or those two words, if you read them again, know thyself, knowing yourself requires a lot of things. And you cannot say, I've known myself through one phase or two phases. You will be, something will always going to come up, you understand, in the journey of knowing yourself. That's why they say life is a lifelong journey. You always constantly knowing new things about yourself. You always constantly reading new things about you. You always constantly learning something about yourself. So it is important that when you know yourself, most of the time, your decisions or things that you intend to do will be guided by purpose and passion. And a lot of students, what I've seen through my assessments with learners from high schools and some university students, they tend to go this period of getting a degree, going to school without purpose or direction, or without knowing what will be the end goal after 10 to 15 years. It's important to start planning that as you embark on your career journey. You have a vision board. You have all these things within you or in front of you that will help you to map your life. Because if you live life without goals, you're like a zombie that is just going around without no direction. You understand? You don't know where you're going. You just go where the sound is. But if you have goals, you know where you're going. Even if you meet people who try to distract you from your goals, you find that you're always going to bounce back in those goals and you're always going to achieve them. Yes, it might take time. Yes, it can happen tomorrow, next month, 3 months. But the moment you have those goals and you don't give up on those goals, you find out that most of the time you get to meet people who will push you, motivate you, or even assist you to reach that goal that you have, that vision that you have in your mind. Okay, so I've got this diagram here in front of me. What is career development? It's got a lot of things, and some of them have said it. I just want to go to the chat box, and I want to ask the viewers, how many people You've gone through all of these areas, knowing yourself, your values, your interests, strength, taste, traits, ambition, explore options, occupational research. How many people have gone through this chart before making a career decision? I assume a lot of people haven't done that, but this is like a rubric or a guide that you can use to make your career journey much easier. Because everything here, it comes from what are my values? Am I driven by money? Am I driven by helping people? Am I driven by security? Am I driven by altruism? What is it? What are those values that you are interested in? You are. What are your interests? Are you someone who is interested in helping people? Are you someone who likes to fix things? All these things, they make the individual. They mold their personality. What are my strengths and weaknesses? Everyone has got strength and weakness, but it's important to know those strengths, because once you know those strengths and weaknesses, even in a job interview, when they ask you, what are your strengths? It's not that you're going to say, my strength is I cum laude. Cum laude is, yes, sometimes they'll get you jobs, but cum laude is sometimes they don't get you jobs because they want to know the person. That's why you find that most of the time when you go for a job interview or when through the job recruitment process, they'll do personality tests for you. They want to see if your personality matches with what they are looking for in a job, because personality differs. For example, my personality can be a high-end personality where I like to lead naturally, but they are looking for someone who follow instructions. So it will clash with the requirements of the job. But if you know yourself, it's much easier to explain to the recruiters what type of a person are you. Maybe they're looking for a manager in the future who is a natural leader. So then you fit in those traits or in those categories based on you understanding who you are, what you stand for, what are your strengths, what are your values, and what are your ambitions. Then I'll go to the next one, which is explore options. Looking for a job or looking for the right job, it's time consuming. Sometimes a lot of people give up and end up doing things so that they can make a living. But sometimes you need to go the extra mile to connect with people. What degree do I need? What are the industry trends? What problems can I solve? Who is solving the problems that I think I can solve? Where can I get these people or this group of people or this organization that share the same vision as mine, or that share the same goal and objectives as mine, or that requires a lot of time and a lot of energy to find those people. If you don't know anyone who's have the same vision as yours, why don't you create the job yourself? Be the one to say, there isn't someone who's doing this.
Nazrana, if you wouldn't mind maybe starting with your presentation till we get to
Okay, so Dean says that he's had sudden load shedding in his area. So,
oh no.
So let's see if he gets back to us. Okay, and he's back on, so he's going to try and reconnect. Okay. So let's
Once
give him a
again.
moment or two, but in the meantime, does anyone maybe want to reflect on what Dean has discussed? Hakima has made a comment about, you know, having gone through parts of that process and having found her passion quite early. And I've posed the question, so how has this perhaps set her apart from others, or how had it, you know, how has it affected her thought processes and her action plan, you know, as a student? So if we can maybe just have some discussion, I mean, and comments, that would be great. I mean, we're all learning from one another. I felt as if Dean was speaking to me because I could connect on so many levels at this stage in my career to what he was saying.
It was such an interesting talk, eh? You know, thinking about like, you know, knowing yourself in that position and like, you know, trying to like learn as much as you can from the process.
So are there any comments from the participants attending?
I just let Dean back in.
Okay.
Let's just hope there are no further issues.
Sorry for that. There was a short load shedding here. I don't know, power cut, but it's back.
Welcome back, Dean.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so where was I? Take action, yeah. So yes, so get focused. So once now you've known who you are and what are the options out there, the trends in the industry, which organization can I fit into, start planning, start making decisions, right? Start do goal setting. When do I need to talk to these people? Who should I talk to? Who's doing this? Who's in charge? Who can I contact? Then from there, you start to build a network with the people that share the same vision, the people that share the same mindset, the people that share the same objectives as yours. The more you interact with these people, the easier it becomes, because you become to see yourself in another person because of the same vision that you share. Then from there, take action. Like I said, connect, look for jobs, gain experience. Sometimes we think gaining experience is working for a big corporate, but sometimes getting experience is going to do voluntary work with the same people that you share the same vision with. Because once you do that, people are going to start noticing something in you that they don't see from any volunteer who comes to do this, would want to do it for just experience. Because you bring yourself, you bring different perspective that they'll start to see. When I started this journey, I started as a volunteer at an NGO called Usapo Foundation. Then from there, I also volunteered for an NGO called Sports Skills for Life Skills. Then all these people that I became friends with and business partners with, they made me who I am, because they saw that we share the same vision and we can make each other grow, and I can add in value to their companies, their NGOs, and all these things that they aspire to, since we share the same vision. So by doing that, it becomes much easier for you to go what you want, to go for what you want, what you desire to be in life. So I've got these videos that I want to share with you, which talks about career planning. Just a moment. Okay. There's the video. There you go. Okay. Okay, so now my questions to the viewers is, how many of you know your Holland codes, which play a big role when it comes to making a career decision? As for me, I know I'm an ESI, which resonates with being a psychologist. I'm an enterprising person, I'm a social person, and I'm an investigative person. And most people, when they go look for jobs, go look for opportunities out there, they go look for a job which they do not know what type of job it is it. How can I add value? Does it align with my interest? Does it align with what I want to do? So it's important when you go look for a job, you have to go look for it knowing that this job resonates with me, it talks to me, it speaks with me. I can have energy that comes from it, that gives me that drive to think outside the box, to be enthusiastic about it. You understand? But a lot of people go look for jobs without knowing, why am I into this job? What can this job, how can I add value to this job? Who's going to benefit from this job? It's important to ask this type of questions, which I'll get there after this video about personalities. Most of people that don't know their Myers-Briggs, it might be foreign to others, but today it won't be foreign to you after seeing this video that I'm about to see. So Myers-Briggs speaks about different personalities, and people are categorized in different codes. So there's an extrovert, introvert, there's a sensor, intuition, there's uh, sensor, intuition, there's a judger and a thinker, there's a feeler, and the last one, yes, there's a feeler and a perceiver. You understand? All these codes, they make a person. And if you know these codes, it's much easier, because these codes are also aligned to careers that are out there and to different occupations that you can add value into, because your personality resonates with that specific career. So I'm going to show you this video, and I would like viewers to just type on the chat box what type of personality types are there in terms of Myers-Briggs, so that we can just have a chat and see what others are, if you know your Myers-Briggs personality. I will start with mine after this video. So I'm going to share a small video about that. There you go. Sorry.
Dean, can you just pause for a second, please?
Yes.
We can't hear the sound on the video. Is there any way that you can connect via computer audio so it plays directly?
So even the previous video, you were not, there was no sound.
Yeah, because it's connecting via your external laptop speaker, so it needs to be via computer audio.
Oh, okay. Okay, just a moment. So where do I go to do that?
It's usually when you press play, Zoom will it will prompt you to which audio you'd like to use. Did you get any prompts?
Okay, so I go to, do I press where it says share or not there or more? So yeah.
Okay, so if you go to you know where the two bars are for start video and mute. If you click on the arrow next to mute, it will give you microphone options.
Okay, I see. Then I must play speakers headphones.
That's so it should be on external mic.
Okay. Can you?
That should. Okay, that's still not doing anything.
You can't hear it.
No.
Okay, so I've clicked speakers or headphones. Or must I? Microphone.
Microphone.
Okay. Let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear it?
Okay, the sound is still pretty bad. Maybe if you can just drop the link for the video in the chat box and then just like talk us through it instead.
Okay, let me stop sharing. Or should I still play it or not?
I think, as I said, like just drop the link for the video so we can all have a look at it later, and then maybe
Okay,
just talk us through the video instead.
Okay.
I think that would be the best way forward.
Okay, that's fine. I will drop the link just now. Chat. Okay, I'll drop the link. Okay, all right. So basically, the second video or the first video, I'll start explaining the first video. It was explaining what characteristics and what processes are required for an individual to plan their career. And it highlighted about knowing yourself, which is self-awareness. It highlighted about goal setting. It highlighted about what interests you and what Wallen codes are you. It highlighted about how can you plan it? It's a continuous process, and what is required of you to achieve this goal that you intend to achieve, which is to have a successful career and doing the career that you need. So it speaks about, again, knowing yourself, because that's the common denominator in everything that we're all going to start. Then for the Myers-Briggs, I just want to hear from the viewers if they know their Myers-Briggs personality, because that's what that video was talking about knowing your Myers-Briggs and how does it connect you with different occupations that are there. And some people miss the point where maybe they're ENTP and they want to do a job of an ISFP. You understand? Because these two, they don't resonate together. So personality matches a job. And if you know your personality, you know which job you're going to go after and which job makes you come out in terms of the things that you desire to be in life. So I just want people to go on the chat box. I just want to hear we'll see if people understand what personality types are there, and we can just talk from there. Then we can move on as to what are they called with their different codes. What are they? Advocates? Are they lawyers? Are they executives? Are they teachers and stuff like that? Because all these things, they will help you to understand yourself better. And if you haven't done any assessment before, please don't be shy to contact me, and I can help you with that. So I just want to see on the chat box. What personality types are you? And we can just talk about it as to, okay, you are ESFP, and you can also see on your screen that what are you, and what does it say about you. As for me, I'm an ESJT or ESTJ, meaning that I'm efficient, I'm outgoing, I'm analytical, I'm systematic, I'm dependable, and my personality is based on being an executive. I like things to be black and white. I like things to be done in an orderly manner. They've got different ways and different types of Myers-Briggs that makes them unique, and also those are your strengths and your weaknesses, and those Myers-Briggs personality makes the world tick. Because if we're all ESTJs, then the world will be in a chaotic manner. But if we all accept our personalities as who we are, we find that we complement each other one way or the other to make the world a better place. And it also resonates about knowing your purpose. Because if you know yourself, you to some extent, you know your purpose on earth based on who you are as a person. So most of the time, we tend to fit in a profile that the society or the environment create for us, but not to fit in a profile that we create for the environment, because the environment is there to adapt to whatever that we are, whatever personality types we are, whatever purpose that we are. There is always enough for everybody. But what happens is we now tend to go for the resources that are scarce, that everyone is doing, so I must do that. But does it resonate with who you are and your personality as well? So it's important to know this type of Myers-Briggs assessment, and also what code are you, and it also helps you to make that informed decisions towards your career. So I'll go to the next slide, which speaks about different personalities and what they are called. For example, I said I'm an ESTJ, so I'm an administrator. I'm a bank manager. I want things to be done in a logical way. I'm a judge. I'm a lawyer. I like things to be done to the T, and I want, to some extent, I'm an extrovert. I like talking to people. I enjoy working with people more than working with machines. Some people have a different perspective. So if based on your perspective or your Myers-Briggs types, you can see this type of careers that are associated with you, which you can go for. You understand? Some are INFP, they're mediators, they're missionaries, they're curators, they're college professors, they're actors, they're composers, teachers, and counselors. So we all fit in this world, but all we have to do is to know who are we and how do we fit in the environment or in the universe to express who we are and how do we solve the problems based on our personality. For example, we have INTP, which are scientists, right? They are college professors, they're mathematicians, they're financial analysts, they're chemists, lawyers or judges. So you find some personality, they've got similar traits based on your personality type, but that being said, it makes us unique, or it complements us to come up with different perspectives or different views about our lives and how we can add value to the universe or to the environment that we associate ourselves in. Okay, then once all is done, then we reach to this stage of, it was called a Japanese meaning called Ikidai. It says finding your purpose. So you have known who you are, your set goals, everything starts with you and everything ends with you. Now you need to know, which area am I good at? What do I love to do? All these questions around this Ikidai, or that are synchronized, they make you a purposeful individual. Because once you have a purpose, no one will stop you. Once you have a purpose, no one will stop you, because you know where you're going. You know how things are going to unfold. You know where you're going to end. But if you do not have a purpose, you just go with the wind, because you're not structured, you are not systematic, you are not, don't have a stable base as to which, this is the direction I want, this resonates with me, this is what I want. So this Ikigai concept, which means purpose, Ikigai, that's on the middle here, it's purpose. So what you love, what do you love as a person? What makes you tick? What puts you on fire? What makes you so energized, right? Then it goes on again to passion. What you are good at. What are you good at? Some people are good at talking to other people. Some people are good at solving problems. Some people are good at finding problems. So it's all these things that resonate or contribute to that individual purpose of life. And the life of purpose is the life of, that's the best life to live. If you live life that is centered or controlled by purpose, your life will be a beautiful life to live. You live life to the fullest, and you start to live as a human being, because we're all created to live a life of purpose. So this Ikigai concept will help you to understand which profession do you have to go for, what you can get paid for. You understand what the world needs, because the world needs problem solvers, and that's where the world is going right now with this pandemic. And there's a lot that people need. We are reshuffling or rechanging or rewriting the script, if I were to say. So we need people who's going to come up with problem skills, or or come up with ideas to solve these problems that the world is experiencing. So if you follow this concept, it helped a lot of people, and a lot of my clients, I always tell them to refer to this Ikigai, because it helps you to understand. So there's one quote that was said by Saul Bellow that said, "A clear plan reveals you of the torment of choice. By writing your goals down, you open yourself to opportunity and signs that help you to achieve what you desire." Then Charles Kettins once said, "A problem well stated is a problem half solved." So if you know where you want to go, already you are successful. You know where you go. Your faculties will start to open ideas that you never thought you would open. You start to interact and see people who share the same sentimentals as you in life, and you start to connect and start to solve the problems that, or the mission that the two of you or a group of you, or as an individual that you have, that you see that other people can't see. So then I'll move on to 21st century employment characteristics. So based on research, these are the characteristics that have been mentioned that a lot of employers are looking for on their employees. It goes to interpersonal communication skills, teamwork and citizen skills, problem solving and decision-making skills, which is very critical, initiative and enterprise, because right now with the generation that we are going into, there's a high number of businesses, entrepreneurs that are coming up. So the world is going to start having consultants or people who can do a certain job that doesn't require the organization to have a specific person inside the organization working for them, when they can have an external person coming in. Workplace awareness and experience, that experience that I mentioned about volunteering, being aware of what is the vision of the company, what is the mission of the company, what are the objectives of the company, do they resonate with me, is what I'm doing adding to the greater cause of what the company wants at the end. So all these things are all important things that millennials and Generation Z need to start understand when they go into the workplace. And what are the planning and organizing skills do I need? Self-management skills. Right now, people are working from home. How can I manage myself from starting work at 8, having lunch at 1, and also having family time, work-life balance? All these skills are now required in the working environment, especially with this pandemic that has catalyzed a lot of things for a lot of people to catch up on, so that they can live a life that is well balanced. Emotional literacy, which I will mention later, about emotional acquaintance, understanding how to work and live with others in harmony and in one group having the same mission and set adaptability and flexibility. People right now who were traditional, which is not a bad thing, they've been forced to be flexible. They're being forced to be adaptable. Right now, people are working from home. So all these are skills that are required from millennials and Generation Z to have, so that they can be employable, so that they can get a job, so that they can live or work happy in or satisfied in their career field. Then career development literacy, which I've been mentioning before, about understanding that career development is a lifelong learning. You do not stop learning in this world of career development if you embark on it, unless if you want to be a fixed mindset. So if you want to keep on to be good at what you do, you need to keep on managing yourself, and self-developing as well. It's required. Self-efficient and self-confidence. You need to be confident with yourself. Whatever that you're saying, it's coming from within. It's not like you're creating it, but it's something that you already created based on your personality, based on your interests, based on your passion, the things that you want to do in life. Then there's positive self-esteem, a lifelong learning attitude that has been lacking for a lot of people, because they think what they have known is the best and they cannot add on to that, or they cannot be criticized and unlearn and relearn, is what Toffler said. So all these things are important in the 21st century employment characteristic. Then the last one, which is the common denominator of everything, is self-awareness. To know who you are, what you stand for, what do I like, what are my interests, what are my talents, what are my passions. Once you have mastered all these things, or the last one, which is self-awareness, you find everything on top of that will come naturally, because one way or the other, you don't find it difficult to communicate to the next person who share the same ideas as you are. Okay, then I'll move on again to different questions and how they affect career planning. So a lot of students, they focus on intelligent questions, which is IQ. I must have a cum laude, which is not, I'm not saying it's bad, it's all right. I must have a cum laude, I must pass all my subjects. But sometimes you might pass and have a cum laude, but it does not guarantee you a job, because your personality and what you want to do does not have that combination that the employer that is looking for. You understand? So it's important to have emotional competency, right? Where you'll be able to be responsible, honest, respect boundaries, humble, genuine, and considerate, and to work with others in peace. Because a lot of people value high IQ, but they are not good in EQ, right? Then there's another one that is that a lot of people neglect, is social acquaintance. How do I build and maintain relationship with the people that I share the same vision with? How do I create a network system that share the same vision and the same purpose and the same passions that I have? So all these things, they need to be part of the package for you to be employable, for you to put yourself on the job market and recruiters or employers to notice you, because all these facets, they make a person, which also boils down to personality. Then the last one, which is now growing, is adversity acquaintance. So you find in this challenging environment, a lot of people cannot stand a defeat. A lot of people cannot stand a setback. A lot of people cannot stand a no. So we now need to grow this acquaintance, this adversity acquaintance, where we'll be able to be resilient to what we believe is right from within. The world might say no, my parents can say no, my friends can say no, but at the end of the day, I know this is right. And by having resilient, by being able to bounce back from rough patches, and by able to soldier on, or to have that persistence or tenacity or that bulldog mentality, you need to have that adversity acquaintance. So it's a whole package that makes a person employable. It's not only the IQ, but everything plays a big role. You find most of the people who own businesses, they've got high EQ and SQ, and they'll end up employing someone who's got high IQ who can fulfill a certain role. Some of these people that own businesses are not even as intelligent or as smart as their employees. They depend on their employees to do the job, but they only had that EQ or SQ that will help them to network, that will help them to work with others in harmony and in peace and honesty and respect, which will drive their organization to be successful. So it's important to have these facets or these elements within you so that you'll be able to be employable in life. Then we'll look at work to be done, current skills versus future skills needs. If you look at current skills, a lot of people are looking at executives. I want to be a manager. I want to go up in my rank. There are a lot of translators, manufacturing and construction. That is what is happening currently. That's where the employment is. But let's look at the future needs and the new skills that is going to start emerging with time, right? We will look at humanities. They're in their head, they're struggling to cope with what is happening with COVID, what is happening with relationship. There are a lot of divorce rates. There's a lot of problems. So we need people who can cater that humanitarian aspect, people who can help people in a psychological way, being a social worker, etc. Find problems so that people can be assisted, because there's a lot that is happening in the world, and there's a constant change that is always happening in our world, and we need people who can help people to do this. And now we look at electrical engineering. There's going to be a lot of technology that is going to emerge, and requires a lot of electrical engineers to help us work with these computers, work with everything that requires us to have lights, because everything is going to be digitalized. Now there's a high talk of industrial revolution, which speaks to electrical engineering. Then there's going to be a high need of creativity and innovation, constant change, new consciousness. We need to bring that into the future needs. So it's important for us to start thinking about that future needs now, and start seeing the world within. Okay, this is what I'm good at. It might not be happening now, but I can catalyze it. Okay, this is me. I see this problem is going to emerge. Let me start to have a solution for it. So that's innovation and creativity that is required right now. Right now, there's a high need of diverse of teams. People from different nations. People are now working from Dubai, staying in South Africa. How do we create that environment where I understand your culture, your religion, your ethnicity, and mine, and we can work together? There's a high need for problem solvers. There's teaching online. How can we come about it? Can we personalize curriculums? What can we do to make things better for the people that are going to be coming in for the next generation? For example, the Generation Z, which are born in technology. Then there's a high need for systematic thinkers, non-linear, because right now those hierarchy of if you are executive, you're at the top. Now everything is now flat. We can share ideas. We all need all these people. New learning models, I've mentioned about new curriculums, and flip blended learning, about doing things online and going traditionally, saying face-to-face with the all these things are the future needs of skills that people need to acquire so that the world will be a better place in the few years to come. So let's not start looking currently, let's also start looking at the future, especially for those that have graduated and looking for jobs. If you cannot find a job that suits your personality and what you imagine, create it yourself. It might take time, but the moment your idea and its time has come, nobody will stop it. Okay, so then I'll talk about as well current problems the world.
Sorry, Dean, I don't want to interrupt you. Our time is running a little bit off, so if you can just maybe keep it quick.
Okay, I think I'll just wrap up. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I talk too much. I get so excited when I.
No, it's fine. It's actually such a wonderful presentation, but yeah, unfortunately our time is up.
Okay, I think I'll take questions if anyone has questions. Then if no one has questions, then we can wrap it up.
There's no questions on the chat as yet, but maybe if you
Okay,
can
there's
stick
one.
it
Zukile's hand is up.
in. Oh, there we go.
And hi, Dean. Thanks for the presentation. I just have a question on when it comes to humanities in terms of the careers there. How does that look like? Because it seems that what is sort of being promoted now is the fourth industrial revolution and the technologies rather than on that side of humanities. If somebody has a BA or general MA, how does that look like? How can that be used in a workplace environment? Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Zukile. So you find that with the fourth industrial revolution, not everyone is going to cope with it. For example, let's talk about COVID. Everyone was told you are working from home. Not everyone will be good with it. People are going to have phobias. People are going to struggle mentally to cope with industrial revolution. People are going to be jobless. But from the BA perspective, psychologists, social workers, they now need to come in and consult these people because there's going to be a high drop of jobs that will be cut. What are these people going to be doing when they stay at home? What is their mental structure going to be like? You understand? How is it going to affect their daily life? All these things requires humanity because we can never separate humans from everything because everything requires us to be present. So it's actually something that is on the rise based on this industrial revolution because people are going to start staying together at home. There's going to be domestic violence. There's going to be a lot that is going to happen that we cannot see right now, but in the future there will be high demand for degrees like that. I know a lot of people are running away from that and doing things that are marketable, but at the end of the day, there are people who require these services and we just have to find them. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thanks, Dean. That was helpful. Thanks.
All righty, Dean. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. We do hope that you've enjoyed it so far, and we do apologize once again for all of the breaks in transmission. Dean's presentation will be made available at a later stage. So if you didn't catch the entire thing, we will be able to send it to you. Thank you again. Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much. It was like so informative learning about the different, types of personalities and how it affects us and how it affects different parts of our lives. But without further ado, I think we should move on to Ms. Rana right now. Ms. Rana is the manager for the Office of Student Development.
And I just took the cue from them.
Somebody sorry about that. Ms. Rana is the manager for the Office for Student Development, and this is the second time she'll be joining us in the Young Alumni Series. Ms. Rana, thank you so much for making yourself available. And yeah, over to you.
Okay, just checking if everyone can see my screen.
Your screen is on, thank you.
It's on, okay, awesome. So I think what I hope to achieve in, let's say, about the 25 minutes or half an hour that I do have. I have a long presentation, but it will be made available to you after the session. And if you are a recent alumni, let's say from 2017 onwards, you will have access to this presentation in the Campus Career Portal Resource Library. But I just want to go back to Dean's presentation. I know Dean from 2011, 12. I can't recall, but I think, and I'm going to encourage you all to look out for our Career Update magazine where we share Dean's story. And what impressed me about Dean was the fact that he did not wait to finish with his qualification to start implementing the knowledge that he's gained. And in today's day and age, we are at a time in our life or in world history where things are changing so rapidly, and Dean has hopefully helped you to question and make sense of your purpose, in life. And that's why I asked the alumni team, can Dean present before me? Because the section that students struggle with the most when I assist them with job search preparation is their career objectives and why they are studying, or why they have studied a specific qualification and what they wish to do with it. And that's the critical component in marketing yourself to a potential employer. So the question then arises is that the biggest challenge to the job search and the biggest roadblock that young people face is the fact that they are not well aware of what their purpose is. And once you determine your purpose and what you can do with the knowledge that you have gained at, in this case, UWC, or at the institution that you studied, you then need to plot and plan, where you potentially see your career to commence and the potential trajectory that it will take in the first 2 to 5 years of your career. And very often I've come to be the person that bursts the bubble of the young person. And I hate doing this, but I find myself doing it more often than not, where I need to tell young people to say, just stop right here and stop wanting to get the ideal job immediately as your first job, because your career is a journey. And it's about how all of your experiences make you what you are and how you are going to contribute to the world and your society and your family while you are on this journey and on this path of life. So when it comes down to presenting yourself on paper and putting a plan together to navigate the job search, it all goes back to what Dean has discussed and shared with you now on what is your plan? Do I know myself? Okay. What is my purpose? Have you written your goals down? Because the critical part is when you are marketing yourself, you cannot market something that you are unsure of or you don't know. And you are your biggest marketeer of Project U. And if you struggle to market Project U, a recruiter or potential employer or potential bursar or potential investor is going to think twice about, giving you that opportunity, because you are struggling to define and determine, what you are about and what you have to offer. So those are critical components, and I encourage you all to, take stock of and think about who you are and what you have to offer. Extremely crucial. Next up, Dean has posed all of these questions, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I think he's done his job very well. But at the end of the day, when you're putting your document together and you're about to send it off, the reader that's going to get that document must at first glance be so impressed that they can't wait to meet you. That's the purpose of your job search documents. It must be able to market yourself to an individual, and they can immediately see what the value add is that you can bring to their organization. Now, I've been in career services for more than a decade, and I've been involved in recruitment for almost 2 decades, and I have looked at thousands of CVs. And the biggest challenge is that we do not know how to market and present ourselves well on paper and online in the case of LinkedIn and which other websites. And Alumni Relations has asked me post our previous session to deep dive into job search preparation. And that's what I'm going to do for the next 20 minutes. So if you stop me, if you feel I'm going too fast, it's just a matter of time. And also, post questions in the chat box so that I can, we can discuss that. But in essence, what I do want to make you realize is that this project U is so vital that you need to get it right the first time. In terms of the first time in order to get you shortlisted. And even if you go through the entire process and at the end of the day, you don't get the job, it is not because, you were, there was something wrong. Maybe it was just not your time. Maybe you need to come back, especially if it's an organization that you aspire to work for. Don't put all your eggs in one basket for now. You still have your whole life, right? So yes, you will have ideal employers that you would love to work for. But what rule book says that you must work for the Accenture, the ideal law firm, the Unilevers, the child welfare, or whoever that you aspire to work for? It must be now, and it must be in your first job. There's no rule in the book that says that. Yes, you can aspire to work for them, and a few of us are fortunate that our first job will be at an organization that isn't our ideal employer. But life happens, and life takes us on numerous journeys, and that's why, your social IQ and your SQ and your AQs are as important as your EQs and IQs. So all of those components of you, that is what you must market. What is it about you that will show a recruiter you have something to offer and a value add to the organization? And the important thing is about getting it right. And the two critical things that students don't do, and I'm unfortunately the one that has to say it, don't read the job advert correctly and not researching the sector. And that results in, your application not being looked at further. So these two key things, reading and researching, is critical to having effective job search documents. So I asked Najma to, put out a poll on how long it takes, how long you think it takes for somebody to review your CV and decide whether it goes in the read further pile or the outright reject.
I'm launching the
So
poll.
I'm just going to ask Najma to quickly bring that poll up onto the screen. Thank you. Unstable. Let me just check that before I lose you.
All right, the poll is launched.
Yeah, and thank you. We might as well ask, because of time, we might as well ask the second question. So we have approximately 35, 34, 30 odd attendees. So what is the feedback like at the moment, Najma?
Right now we have 10 people that have answered. I'll just give it
so
till the minute.
Give them an extra minute. It would be lovely if as many can respond.
That is climbing.
Okay.
Just let me know when you'd like to end.
I think because in the interest of time, if we can maybe show the poll result.
Can everyone
Okay.
see that?
Yes. Okay. So definitely, some of you have hit the nail. 72% of you say that it takes between 1 and 5 minutes to decide whether somebody will shortlist your CV or not. Now, depending on what sector you are in, if you're in the corporate sector, banking, technologies, fast-moving consumer good companies and so forth, it takes about a minute, right? And a very unfair minute, but it takes about a minute for somebody to decide whether they're going to read your CV further or whether it goes outright in the reject pile. And for many other sectors, it will take 5 minutes up, depending on the number of applications, the number of HR people involved in the shortlisting process, and so forth. And then depending if you're an experienced hire, and if it's an experienced hire opportunity, it may take 10 minutes or above, depending. Right. Then another question in terms of, do you write a letter of motivation, aka the cover letter, when you apply for an opportunity? 48% of you said yes, 12% of you said no, and 40% of you said only when the application calls for it. Now, I'm going to put out a plea over here. Whether they ask you for one or not, you are always going to write a letter of motivation, because this is where you get to speak to a recruiter and motivate in terms of who you are, what you have to offer, your value add to the organization, and why you see yourself in this role, and why you should be interviewed for the opportunity. In your life, you are going to need 3 documents, 3 CVs. Your comprehensive version that's going to grow with you as you develop in your journey. So it's going to, you start off as a young alumni with your first degree, your CV shouldn't be more than 2 to 3 pages. As you grow in your career, your CV will grow with you. However, you will use your master copy to create the 2 to 3 pager and 1 pager for the days that you are presenting at a seminar and they ask you for a 1 pager bio of yourself. Okay, so that's 3 types of documents you're going to need. And with the power of LinkedIn, you know, sooner or later, you might not need all 3. Okay. Then crucially, very, very importantly, when you're putting your CV together, you need to analyze the job ad and you need to then decide what is it that you need to include, what is it you need to exclude, and how you're going to lay out some of your sections in your CV. And at all times, focus on quality. Forget about the length. Focus on the content in your document. There's no one correct way or order for CV. Students love coming to me and say, ma'am, can you give me a template on how to, for my CV? All of our fingerprints are not the same. We are all unique. So there are a number of tools out there that you can use. And I'll speak to that in a moment. But there's no one correct way. Yes, there are crucial things that must be in a CV, and I'll quickly unpack that. But remember this, is that your CV reflects your personal brand. You need to use your academic results, your fieldwork experience, your co-curricular experience, your extramural involvement, your vacation work, your casual work, your volunteer work, your interests and hobbies, everything to market yourself. And I often tell students, and I'm like a broken record, recruiters are interested in the you, not in your degree. They're interested in the you with the degree. So make sure that your document speaks to that. Very often I find like the skeletal documents that are submitted for review and there's nothing about the person. So if you are looking at your current document now, if you have your CV open, do this quick audit, okay? while and you'll get a copy of this, so you'll be able to listen to it again. But these are the 5 most effective issues or tips for a CV. You need to focus on the essentials. If your work experience is limited, you need to describe your education and your training and your co-curricular activities. You cannot tell me that the only thing that you've done for 3 years is study. And the only thing that you've done is look at your books and study and do assignments and write exams. There's no way that you've spent 3 to 5 years only doing that. You must have been doing other things as well. Okay, and those other things, whether it's working part-time as a salesperson, whether it's doing arts and crafts and baking, or whether it is taking care of your family, whatever it is, it's as important as your education and training. Then your document needs to be clear and concise. It mustn't be chunky with big paragraphs and tons of tables and death by bullets. No, it should be easy to read, and it should concentrate on the relevant aspects of your training and your work experience that's going to make be shortlisted. And then if needs be, you need to, in one sentence, explain if there was a break in your studies or in your career. So maybe you would have had a gap year, you need to indicate a gap year. Maybe you need to explain that family commitments did not register for 2018. Simple, no long sentence stories, but it needs to be there. So there needs to be consistency. Obviously now with the pandemic, there will be students and young people that will say, that they did not register for 2020 or 2021 due to the academic challenges and being, unable to study or work remotely. So we will see how that evolves. At the end of the day, what a recruiter will ask you is, what did you learn about yourself due to the pandemic and during the lockdown? Okay. About your ability to adapt to adversity, and Dean spoke about that earlier. And now what else do you bring, to reflection and of this learning? Then you need to adapt your document for every post. You can't pray and pray, okay? Am I breaking up? I've changed my network, so I'm very surprised that I'm breaking up.
You're online now? No,
I'm very scared to change my network because then I'm going to fall. So okay, cool. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jacqueline, for letting me know. Okay, so your documents need to be adapted to the audience. So if you're a graduate, your documents need to be amended according to the industry and the type of roles that you're applying to. If you're an entrepreneur needing to submit a document for funding in addition to a whole pile of other documents, it needs to be adapted to that. If you're a postgraduate applying for funding, so you can't use the same document for everything. And depending on the purpose and the reader, you then need to highlight either the relevant work experience, the organizational experience, the research experience, whatever the case may be, you need to highlight your value proposition to that audience. So obviously you can't inflate stories, you can't lie, it's now a criminal offense. Apart from just being caught out, you can be held liable. And you need to take care of presentation. Okay, very, very crucial. Nothing is worse than bad spelling and grammar and style in the document that's supposed to represent you. Basically what you're telling the reader is that if this is how I'm presenting myself, this is the way I'm going to present you, represent you to a potential client or so forth. So if Project U doesn't have the T's crossed and the I's dotted and everything's perfect, you can forget about this person taking you on board to represent them. Okay, so presentation is key. And have somebody else look at your documents. Very important before sending it off. So The most common recommended sections is the personal data, your career objective, which is crucial. And thank you to Dean for helping, the attendees, in terms of unpacking those crucial questions about who they are. And this section is the most difficult section for most students to write. But you need to show a reader or a potential employer what your plan is. It might change because life happens, but they must have something of you have an idea of where you are going and how you get there. The medium-term goal might change in 2 years because you realize, you know what, I might be good at accounting, but I'm more, and 3 to 5 years down the line, you might have a specific degree, but in your career, you'll be doing something totally different to what you've studied. We've gone to the days where you do one job for your entire life. You're going to have numerous jobs in your career. Okay, your education section is crucial. Many students underestimate the bursaries that they get, the awards that they get, preferably because you only have that 1 minute to get the reader to shortlist your document. So any achievement that you have, it means that if it's a bursary, somebody has invested in you, they've taken the risk, and it's paying off if you're passing, obviously, and you've got your qualification. It also talks to your work ethic and your dedication. So those are the type of things that you need to mention, and without spelling it out that I'm hardworking and dedicated. Okay, so those are 2 words that preferably need to not be anywhere in your CV. And they just also often students write their duties, but then they don't reflect on the skills that they've developed. So very important, you need to say what are the skills that you've learned in the job, in the role that you've had. Okay, you must be able to show the reader that through doing A, B, C, and D, these are the skills that are developed, and then in your letter of motivation, you allude to those skills in that experience. Leadership roles, membership, they are all as important as your qualification. So you elaborate on it as much as possible. Then organizational and volunteer work experience is as important. That's why UWC has a few years ago launched something called the co-curricular record. In addition to your academic transcript, if you've been involved in co-curricular activities on campus, you can then apply for the co-curricular record to get it on an official letter to say that you were a peer mentor, that you were involved in a sporting code, in a student structure, in a leadership role, and so forth, because these all attest to the skills that you've developed outside of the classroom that make you as marketable to an employer, with in addition to your qualification. Students often often don't include interests and hobbies. This is part of who you are. It talks about whether you'd be able to fit into the team and the company culture. If you are an athlete and you run races, you do the 2 oceans of the comrades, what does that say about you? Okay, your perseverance, your grit, your determination, your mental strength, and the dedication to practice, to make the you need to be able to have run a certain amount of kilometers in order to participate in the comrades of the 2 oceans, if I'm not mistaken. So all of that, if you play a team sport, what does that say about you? If you play a musical instrument, if you're involved in your church, if you are passionate about baking, that's a science. Everything that you do about who you are is as important as your qualification. Okay, so don't underestimate these components of a CV. Referees as important, but you need to get their permission. They need to know that they're in your CV. Okay. So in terms of layout, don't copy a format from somebody else. Check out a number of resources. There's obviously MS Word has got templates. Canva is a lovely website. There's the Campus Career Portal's Resume Builder. There's the LinkedIn profile. So find a template that works for you. But then also don't just go and squeeze all of your information into a template for the sake of it. And then it just looks poorly presented and it's got all these gaps and unnecessary wasted space. Your document must be easy to scan and read. Consistency is key. I'm not going to go into all of them. You can see it over there. Always create a footer with your name and your page number, and always PDF your document with the current year and your name. Okay, never send off Word documents, MS Word. Then, in addition to your CV, always include a letter of motivation, aka the cover letter. They go hand in hand. You speak to the recruiter, you help the reader understand what sets you apart from the next person. Okay, and back to business letter format that we did in school. This is where you actually use, you know, the skill that you learned in grade 3. I can't remember when we did this, but business letter format speaks to the reader in terms of your attention to detail, how you present yourself in the professional realm. Okay, and these are just some tips on how to write your letter. What needs to be in the first paragraph? In terms of the second paragraph, you're telling them, you know, what's your value add, keeping their perspective in mind and what they need. You explain perhaps specific points from your CV and try and learn to write less colloquially. So you won't say that you learned something or you did something. You'd rather say that you developed specific skills or you enhanced something, you facilitated something. You need to write as a professional and not colloquially like you'd write to a friend. And then you ask for an interview. There's nothing wrong in that. And you say that you're going to follow up regarding your application. Okay, and then if you can, you hand sign it by writing a signature, taking a picture of it, you know, scanning it or emailing it to yourself so you have an electronic version of your signature that you can enclose into your documents. Okay, just makes it different. And very importantly, I'm going to just go back to this section. Try and not to write to whom it may concern, or sir or dear sir or madam. If the advert gives you a name, use the name. If it's a campus career, a job board advert that you're applying to, check if the employer details is available in the directory. Okay, very important. Then, if you're an alumnus and you need help regarding your job search, you have access, for those of you that graduated from 2017 onwards, you have access to the campus career portal. Please use it. Okay. This is just where you can find the number of resources to help you with your job search. And then my final tips to you. Okay. It's just as much as possible that you need to avoid silly mistakes in your documents, because that does, put you in the immediate reject pile. Make sure that your documents are well drafted to represent you in totality, the well-rounded graduate, not just your degree. And if you do get shortlisted for an interview, prepare for it. There's resources available, and don't be shy to ask for feedback about the interview performance. I've, mentioned it earlier, and the world has changed so much. I was in consult with a student a few weeks ago, and I asked her, what's your career objective? Where did you see yourself working? What did you see yourself doing? And she said, she saw herself being dressed professionally and going to the office and working. So I said, yes, but. So she says, no, that's what she envisioned for herself. So I said, COVID has killed those two simple dreams, because for all she knows, and if you know, we're sitting in our jammies, with our bed slippers, engaging in the session or working. Okay, so that has changed. The fact we don't go in, it's remote working. Are you able to work remotely? How are you ready for this change? How are you ready for life after COVID and working in a world that is very different to what you've seen in the past? So you need to be open to those different type of opportunities. If you do land an internship now, you might be working in a remote setting where you only connect via Zoom on a daily or weekly basis, and your tasks get emailed to you. So all of these things you need to ask yourself. There's going to be limited contact, and what does this mean for your career? Are you ready for it? And the type of opportunities that you are looking for. Are you looking for, opportunities, or are you avoiding opportunities that say remote working? Because it could be a great experiential learning opportunity. It could be a foot in the door, but because it's a remote working, you are avoiding it. So ask yourself those questions. And keep your options open. I plead to you in this time of economic challenges of the pandemic, consider other industries that you didn't consider before. Don't turn up your nose at entry-level opportunities. Don't sit at home waiting for the dream job. Try and get your foot into the door. Try and use, sometimes your first job is going to be an opportunity, nothing related to what you've studied, but everything related to the skills that you've developed in the co-curricular space. Okay, but it's a stepping stone to building your portfolio and building your brand. So don't, ignore the opportunity, because that's as important to helping you develop your brand and who you are. The world of work has changed. So many opportunities are going to pop up. And to that person that asked the question regarding opportunities for humanities student, I would like you to shift the way you ask that question. It shouldn't be what opportunities are there for the arts and the humanities graduate. If you are majoring in sociology, if you majored in English or linguistics, you need to use that as your marketing, or when you're pitching a question. Don't clump yourself into arts and humanities. The skill that you, or the knowledge that you've gained, you need to ask specific questions. So how does this knowledge that I have, which areas should I look at, for opportunities? And for the arts and the humanities graduate, those that have done sociology, psychology, English and linguistics, women and gender studies, and all of the philosophy, ethics, a number of opportunities are going to pop up, especially in the space where, there needs to be resources created for corporates to help their staff deal with remote working, deal with loneliness. There will be new platforms created to discuss, working in this new world. Dean has mentioned some of the additional problems that we might face in society because of the social distancing. So there's a number of avenues that you can contribute. There's going to be more avenues in the areas of renewable energy, sustainability in the environment. A number of careers are going to pop up, that is totally different from the industry that you thought you were going to enter in. But don't close doors. Rather grab those opportunities to learn. Create your own blog. Start speaking about how you have been dealing with issues and addressing things, and that's the power of LinkedIn. And I want to leave it with this, because I unfortunately have another meeting coming up. But if you are feeling very alone at the moment and you're struggling with your job search, you need to get onto LinkedIn, and we discussed LinkedIn at the previous session. Career Services has another LinkedIn workshop happening either next week or the following week. You need to connect with your peers and your community. The power of your UWC network is vital to help you stay focused. And not only your UWC network, but your friends and your family and whoever else that you do know. Because it's going to help you talk the lingo that you need to talk and speak as a professional and no longer as a student. Okay? And I'll attend Kosi's question in a moment. But it's also going to help you identify opportunities, get involved in robust discussion regarding issues that you're passionate about. So I reconnected with Dean after probably 5 years on LinkedIn. And I remember helping him with his CV. I remember helping the sports Skills for Life skills group with CVs many, many years ago, and we reconnected. And this has just obviously opened up a door for him, but it's also opened up a door for alumni relations. It's opened up a door for Career Services to all collaborate together and host the session today. So you shouldn't underestimate the power of LinkedIn. Utilize it, connect with your peers. I think, Kosi, you questioned about the picture. Now, LinkedIn will have your picture on it if you're using that. I always discourage people from putting their picture on their CV because I want you to be evaluated and assessed based on what you have to offer as an individual. And I don't want unconscious bias to play any role in your chance of getting an interview. So therefore, I will tell you not to add your picture. However, if a recruiter requests in an application for you to send your picture or copy of your ID or whatever the case may be, include it because you do not want your application to be rejected as an incomplete application. So it's always a toss-up. And I always say employees that ask for a one-page CV, they're lazy to read. And I think it's very unfair if anyone asks for one-page CV, but those are their practice policies. I can't change it, but always remember the 30-second rule. What is it that I definitely want the individual to know about me if I only have 30 seconds to to make an impression and to land an interview. And in essence, what you do is you T's and dotted your I's and revamped your CVs. It needs to be folded. So whenever you're chatting to somebody about, the opportunities that you're looking for, and they will tell you, send me your CV, you are able to do it immediately. Okay. That's what you need to put yourself in the space where your CV is ready, where you maybe edit 2 sentences in your career objective or edit 2 or 3 things in your cover letter. But it's there as a draft in your Google Drive or in your draft folder that you can edit and send off within 5 to 10 minutes of speaking to an individual. Okay, so that's it from careers. I do need to leave. Any other questions?
Ms. Rana, there was another question from Shamitha.
Okay.
She asked should we link our social media accounts to what we have on our CV?
Only your LinkedIn URL, nothing else. And very importantly, in one of the workshops, we always talk about cleaning your digital footprint. So you do need to realize that companies will check out what you're doing on social media. So if you've been spending a lot of time either bad mouthing or partying or whatever the case may be that you do in your social life, it's totally your prerogative, it's your life. But just maybe tie up the loose ends on your social media profile. Okay, so if you do put in any social media handles, let it only be your LinkedIn account that is a completed LinkedIn account, not an empty LinkedIn profile. Okay. Any other questions? One last question for 3 minutes, then I've got to run.
I don't see any other
I've indicated to you over here where you can access your online career service. It's available to you 24/7, 365. There's an app version of Career Explorer available, and there's a lot of fun things coming your way on Career Explorer over the course of 2021. And if you are a recent graduate, you will still have access to Career Explorer 3 to 5 years post-graduation. I'm not taking anyone off our database. I know it's tough out there. So the job board and the online resource center is available to our alumni to assist with your job search journeys and just navigating the challenges of the job search. So that's it from me, from Career Services side. I wish you everything of the best in this reflection. Take what Dean has said and just ask yourself some hard questions so that when you are sitting in an interview room, you don't, and you have an idea that you can explain to somebody, where do you see yourself going, what your purpose is in life, because we were all here with a purpose. So once you determine your purpose A and your purpose B, you should be much better in navigating your job search. So that's it from me. I've said a lot, like Dean also says, with topic, but you can reach out to me via LinkedIn or via the chat with Career Services on Career Explorer. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Nazrana. That was such an informative session, and you know, just learning so much more about, you know, Project U and how to navigate the career landscape of, you know, 21st century and working through COVID and all of these restrictions that we're working with. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Sumaya to do our final thanks. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Sumaya, are you online?
Yeah. Hi, thank you, everyone. Yeah, very informative from Dean and Nazrana. We would just like to say thank you to Dean and to Nazrana. I mean, Dean has really understanding yourself, your mental awareness. I'm sure everyone, you know, have a better understanding about themselves at this stage. And if you don't, I mean, the resources will be available. We will email it to you guys that attended the session with us, and you can go over it again if you would like. But really informative. I mean, I've learned something about myself. I mean, you learn about yourself every day, and in every situation you learn things about yourself. So that was very, very informative. Thank you very much, Dean. As well as Nazrana. Again, Nazrana, very informative. And like I've said before, we will send the recording to our participants, and if there is anyone that would like to more information, like Nazrana said, on the Career Explorer, you can go on there and check whatever you need on there, and she will be available on there for you. Yeah, and just I hope everyone has enjoyed the session, and this is really why we do it. This is why we've gone on this journey to, you know, to just assist and guide and give some tips and information to our young alumni who wants to, you know, get out in the world, who wants to start their career, and just needs a little bit of guidance and a little bit more, I would say, a little bit of confidence and being sure of yourself, where you want to go. So really, it was really informative. So just thank you very much for everyone that attended. Yeah, so go well, everyone. Thanks for attending the session with us. And if there's any questions or information you would like, you can send us an email on our on our email address, which is alumni@uwc.ac.za, for any other further information, or just if you would like us to put you in touch with anyone, with Dean or with Nasrana in that matter. So thank you everyone for attending. It was really, really a great session, very informative, I think, for everyone. Thanks everyone.